my podcast. My name is Zhelle, and I'm recording this on the 16th of October on a very grey day. We are heading towards autumn and winter, so it is going to be much nicer to sit inside and crochet and knit and embroider compared to when it was summer and you were really yearning to go outside, weren't you? When it's nice and warm and don't have to put on 4 layers just to go outside. So yes, it has been about a month and a half since my last podcast, because since then life has sort of been a bit in the way. When I wanted to record the last one, which was going to be in the end of September, my little one had just started nursery, and yes, well, it's gone fine. We've just had a bit of some sick periods and stuff, and now I've started work, so it's been a bit chaotic. But I'm going to talk a bit about that in a moment. Apart from that, I have been crafting. The last podcast, I think I was almost calling it like the finishing podcast, because I had so many finished projects. I don't have that many this time. Do have a few finished projects, and I also have a couple of projects on the go that I'd like to talk about later. I've also been to a yarn festival, and I'm going to show you my haul from that. But first I'm going to talk a bit about what's been going on. My little one, William, he started nursery on the 23rd of September. And first week it was I should better say, it wasn't actually where we signed him up that he started. We signed him up for another nursery, but there was such a long waiting list, and the deadline for me going back to work was getting closer and closer. So I started to panic a little bit. So I called them up and said, "What do I do? I need to have my son taken care of while I'm at work, and that's getting closer. And I needed this place back in the 1st of August, and we are now in September, and I still don't have a placement for him. So what's going on?" But they couldn't really promise me when I was gonna get a placement and for him and everything. So I started to stress a bit. Then I was writing my boss, like, I need more time off because I don't have a place for him. While I was writing the email, we got an offer for a nursery for him, and that was on a guaranteed listing. So, and that, when he's on a guaranteed listing here in Denmark, it means that, or at least in Copenhagen, it means that we would get a placement within 4 kilometers from where we live, and a radius of 4 kilometers. So it could be towards work, it could be the other way from work. And I would probably get offered a place that I hadn't actually seen or anything. And that's also what happened, but it happened to be 10 minutes walk from here. Quite easy to get to. We have I accepted the place without even seeing it because I was desperate, and if I said no, then the commune would have 2 months to find a new placement. So that was going to be so we had to take it. So we said yes to the nursery place and got down there and visited them, and I was really happy with it. And he then started on the 23rd of September, and he was there for a week, and it was going really well. And we were taking it in small bits, so I could get used to it and he could get used to it. Then he got a little bit ill and had to be out of the nursery for a couple of days because of an eye infection, and then he was back in the nursery for 3 days. It was going really well, and then the last week before I was going back to work, which was last week, he was going to have some longer days so he could get used to being there for a full day, so we could ease him into it. What happened then? Well, he got the flu with a high fever, so he was home all of last week. So he had to go back in on Monday when I started work, and I was a bit panicky because basically I was going back to work. I was going into the city. I couldn't just pick him up if there was anything. So luckily, my mum offered that she could take him. She could go and get him from after work. Because I wanted him to have not the longest of days, because when it's Sean and me that's going to get him there and take him home, it's 8 hours. About 8 hours he has to be there, because I can hand him in at about 8, and then I can be at work at about 9. And then Sean, depending on if there's a bit of overtime or whatever, he can go and get him between 3:30 and 4. So it's up to 8 hours he's in there in the nursery. So I didn't want that to be the first day. So my mum went there to pick him up, and got there and went into to the room where he was in, and found my old daycare person. The one of the ladies that used to take care of me when I was in daycare, and she's actually the one that's a primary connection to my son. So that was really strange. And I thought, I was in private daycare, and now this is it's a commune nursery, and there's I don't know, it's 30 years ago I was looked after by her, but she just happened to be there. And the same day that mum sees that she has had, that the person looking after me is now looking after my son, same day we get offered the nursery that I had signed him up for in the first place. But if that's not screaming to the gods that he should stay where he got in the first place, I don't know what is. So he stayed there. We declined the other one, because we're very happy with where he is now, and it's such sweet people. And I may already have gone on to the parents' council. There was a parent meeting last week, and I sort of signed up for that. And my mum said, it's typical you. It's typical your dad as well. So I'm just apparently, going in his footsteps and signing up for all sorts of things. Yeah, so I thought that was really weird in a way, and I felt safe there, and comforted there from like day one. I wonder if it's and if it's her voice from the daycare that I used to, because I was I'm obviously used to the voice from back when I was a little kid. So I'm wondering if that had anything to say. I don't know, but we're very happy for it. And well, he's there right now, William, while I'm talking to you, because today he's having a short day. It's Wednesday, and I'm off every Wednesday until Christmas. So there's quite a few Wednesdays to go. And on those days he's going to have shorter days, but he's still going to go in there, and I can be a little busy bee around the house sometimes, and maybe sometimes just sleep. Catch up on some sleep. Now when Sean and me are both working, it's a bit of a shock to the system. But so sometimes might just be sleep. But today, after I have recorded this, I'm going to be baking. I'm going to be doing some washing, because I have not put washing on while I'm recording the podcast. I have been good. And if you have no clue what I'm talking about, one of the very first podcast I decided to do, I was recording it while the washing machine was on, because that's how brilliant I was. I learned from that. So I'm going to put the washing machine on after. But yeah, that is a bit about I can also talk a bit about my work, because I've gone back into work now, and that is a shock to the system, especially because I have flex hours, and I left with minus, so I come back with a minus, which means I owe them hours. So I don't really want to be there for less than I have to every day. I can if I want to, but I don't want to, because I want to earn in some of the hours, not owe more. I'm just gonna have some tea. Oh, that was lovely. But yeah, I started back up, and it's not in my old role just yet. A part of the authority I'm working for has decided to become an independent authority. So I'm going to well, help getting all the systems up and going. The accounting systems and pay systems and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to help with getting that on the go. So we have until end of December before that has to, because it's the 1st of January, they are being independent. So we need to make sure that it is ready for there. So I'm, back in work, but not in my old position as of yet, and not in my normal seat. So it's a bit weird, but it's gonna be fine. I just need to get back into the swing of things. I mean, I have been gone for 13 months, and that's quite a while to be away from work and then come back, and lots of new people, lots of things happening. So yeah, so lots going on there. But luckily, I have every Wednesday off, so that helps a bit. So it's 2 days and then a day off, and then 2 days and then a weekend. So that will ease me into it a little bit. Plus, I'm not in the in the normal day-to-day running of things. So if the little one is sick or something, it doesn't matter if I'm home, working from home, or having a sick day, really. Well, one of child's sick day. So in that way, it's quite good with the way I've come back. So it's going to be a good challenge. I'm quite looking forward to it. But that was a lot about what has been going on with me and my little one since last time. Now I'm going to show you what I have finished. I have talked a little bit about the first project. The last time I had made a gauge square for it, 2 actually, but now it is finished, and it is, oh yeah, it's a sweater. I have finished, there was just some fluff here. I have finished an actual knitted sweater. And no, it is not my size. It is a 1-year-old sweater, and William is not big enough for it yet. He's also only 11 months, but still. But I've actually knitted a sweater. And it's made in the petite wool from We Are Knitters. And it's called the Wally sweater. And see, and there's a little crocheted bit on it. This little bit is crocheted. That's attaching to the button. And that's because it started from the top. And I started with doing the rib back and forth all the way. And then when we started on the normal knitting, I started just knitting in the round. And look at it. I mean, I am very, very proud of my first knitted sweater. And I finished it in a week. And my auntie, who helped me start this up, she was very impressed with me finishing it in a week. And then I told her that it was because with crochet, it doesn't matter. I know crochet. I can leave a project be for a while, and then I can take it back up and I can continue crocheting. But with knitting, because I'm still so new in it, I mean, this is my 3rd project. And because I'm still so new, I'm scared I'm going to forget what it is I'm doing. So I basically just have to power through and finish it, because otherwise I won't be able to. Well, that's what I think anyway. I won't be able to finish it. I probably will, but yeah. I actually made a knitted sweater. So now I want to make one for myself. Not same one, but at some point I want to try and knit a sweater for myself, just to see if I can. But I've done it in a little size, so why not being able to do it in a bigger size? It's just going to take longer. But yeah, I have finished a sweater. The next thing I'm going to show you is a dishcloth that I've finished. And it's here. Supposed to be square. It's almost square. I started this one. It's in a waffle pattern and it's crocheted. I started it 3 years ago. And I worked on it and worked on it and worked on it and got really bored with it. I am not a person for making dishcloths. I am not. It is too boring. It's just, yeah, it is. No, thank you. I do not have the patience for it. That's for sure. But so what I did was I have made quite a lot of it. I basically made this, and then I stopped it because I was bored. I stopped in the middle of a row. So what I did was I just finished a row, sewed the ends in, and was like, "Yeah, that's done. I have done a dishcloth." So that was one of the projects. This was the sweater here was one of the projects I had in my Ravelry project, works in progress, and the same was this one. But because I finished them, I'm now down to 10 projects. So I'm very proud of that. I also finished, because I could start something, because I finished something, I started a pumpkin, and I finished a pumpkin. And the pattern for this one is from Hobby, and I really enjoyed the pattern. I really enjoyed making it. It's done. I have it as a decoration here for the autumn, and I want to make more of them. I want to make different ones. But for now, I made this one. The yarn for this one, well, I should say the yarn for this one is from a local store called Søstrene Grene, and just cotton from that one. And the yarn for this one is the Järbo soft cotton, which is an Aran weight yarn. It's the bottom of it. So it's quite, it works up quite quickly but quite big. And this one was the Järbo yarn, and this one is made with, I think it's double yarn I've used two different kinds. I can't remember the where those are from, but I made use two different kinds of yarn just to give a little bit of a color difference in them. So there's both the dark green and the light green in there, just to make a little bit of a difference in it, instead of just having completely green. I think it doesn't make it more real, because obviously it's, you can see obviously that it's yarn, but I just thought, yeah, it just makes it a little bit nicer, a little bit more detail in it. So that was very quickly gone through the 3 projects that I finished, and I don't, one of them I started and then finished in the time that, between 2 podcasts. But that's the ones I've made. I also have 2 projects to show you. Well, I actually have 3, but 2 of them are normal projects, and then the other one I'm going to talk about after. And the first project is an embroidery project, and it is my Secret Stitch Along by Permin, which is a Christmas calendar. You can see, I'm just gonna, I think last time I hadn't even started this, and I think I made quite a bit of progress on it. I'm quite happy with it. Quite happy with it so far. I'm going to be stitching more on it this week, so hopefully next time I will have even more progress to show you. There has been, as I said, it's a secret. It's a stitch along, and there is 4 parts out now. The first part came with it, and then there has been there's 3 more parts to come out. Last one came out on Monday, but I'm obviously still on the first part, and I need to stitch a lot quicker if I'm going to catch up with it. But I'm really enjoying doing it, and it's nice to going to be able to have a little calendar for William. I do hope that I can finish it for this Christmas. If not, then it's going to be next Christmas. So that's the first project. That's my embroidery project. I also have a crochet project on the go. I think I talked about this last time as well. But this is how far I've gone on it now. It's a Christmas mandala by Little Box of Crochet. and right now it's a bit of a hat. But that's going to be blocked out when it's when I get to that. I am on the row 24 out of 28, and when you look at it from the front, you think it's really beautiful. Well, I think so anyway. But 24 rounds, really? Look at the back. Look at the amount of rounds. Just if you see the amount of rounds of red here, and you can't even see the outer red ring here. If you see the amount of red rounds I've had to make that, really shouldn't think that that was that much, should you? But yeah, this one, I had so much trouble with it to start with and earlier, because some of the descriptions in the box of the you have to do a lot of front post double trebles, and that's fine. I can do those, no problem. But then you need to make like front post double treble 2 together. Okay. I have never been one for being good at figuring out how to do when it's 2 things together, or 3, or some of them 5 together. And the description, when you read it in there, there's actually there's a mistake in the pattern, and there was on one of the rounds there was a mistake in the pattern as well, and I was so confused. And this is from the Christmas box last year, and turns out that they'd actually sent out an email with videos. So every single round of this, there's been a video made so you can see how you make the round. That saved me. So that's why I am now on round 24 out of 28. So next time, the next podcast, this should be finished and hopefully also blocked. And I'm really looking forward to show you. I mean, I've worked on it quite a lot. There's also another project that I can't show you yet. Obviously going to at some point, but I can't show you the project yet, and I am sort of on a deadline for it, and I need to finish that project. So all my other projects are sort of being worked on in between, because I can't stick to one project. I get bored with one project, and especially when it's something like that. So I'm working on this, and I'm working on my embroidery, and then I'm working on my secret project. But this one should be finished next time, I hope. And then I might actually even start back up on my Last Dance on the Beach blanket, because I want to finish that blanket so I can, start on something new. But the thing is with that blanket, and I just realized that like now, that blanket is made up of squares. It is made up of, I think it's 12 different squares, and 4 each of them, where I get maybe a bit bored doing them, and I don't really like the yarn. And now I'm just realizing it's like making dishcloths, isn't it? It's like the same square, making it 4 times. I should have thought it through before I started on it, but you get wiser. And then the next blanket I want to start on, it's actually a mandala. It's going to be a massive mandala. So hopefully I will like the yarn of that more, and it's going to be like a different pattern on every single round, a bit like this mandala actually. So just gonna put the crochet hook down, seeing as I have secured it. But yeah, it's a lot easier working on something where new things are happening all the time than when it's the same thing over and over and over again. Now when this is hanging, I'm just gonna show you. Look, it's the mandala in tiny version. I feel like this is a bit of a rambly podcast. you know, I haven't podcasted for a month and a half, and it's actually a bit hard to get back into it. It's a bit like work when you but that's 13 months. But it's after this after these past month and a half, it's I don't know why it's hard to go back into it. I don't know. It just is. So this is a bit rambly. So I'm sorry if it's rambly. It is here. And then the next one is hopefully service back to normal, especially because I have every Wednesday off. So in like 3 weeks on a Wednesday, I'm going to record the next one. And hopefully I have stuff to show you. Otherwise it will be a very, very empty episode, won't it? But I've now shown you my works in progress and my finished projects. I'm also just going to show you 2 books I bought. And one of them is, I think I showed you the first one, but this is Crocheted Bookmarks. And you say, didn't I already show you? Didn't I already show you Crocheted Bookmarks? I think I did, but not this one. This one is the second book in the series, where they sort of made couples. I'm not sure I think it's couples, but couples. Who are we to discriminate? But the sort of bookmarks that are here, they're all crocheted. You can see you got panda bear, got monkey, pig and chicken. Then you have Santa and his reindeer, little Rudolph. And then you got a platypus. I think it's a platypus. Bubble this way, and an elephant. They're quite cute. I especially like these ones. The reindeer and Santa. I'm just thinking they're perfect bookmarks for. I'm going to have like Christmas stories for William, and reading Christmas stories and then having the Christmas bookmarks in there. I just think that's a brilliant idea. I just need to make them, but I also need to get the Christmas books, so it will all come next year maybe. So these are the next patterns. We got an angel and a vampire. I'm guessing both eternal beings, immortal beings, and that's why they are. And then you got a mermaid and a Sebastian, a crab-ish. No, it's not a crab. Jesus Christ. It's a lobster. Can't believe I couldn't see that description. So we have a crocodile. And we have a shark. And then we got an owl and a peacock, I think. It was a peacock and an owl. And then we have we got a monster. Just because, a book wouldn't be perfect without a monster. So there's quite a lot of bookmarks in there. And there is, you can see, you have little stories about the romances. So here you have Hanne Høne, who is Hanne the hen. And then you have Gustav Pig, Gustav Gris. And the description of this one, I'm just going to read it up for you and trying to translate it at the same time. That Hanne's favorite color is pink. So that's why she quite quickly got crazy with Gustav the pig. He also turned out to be very lovely smelling, and that just conquered her heart. So that is their little love story. So it's quite sweet with the little stories of them, and I think, and I especially like the Christmas ones, the Christmas book back. So that I'm going to make something from this. So that's the first book. I got another book, and that is Stina Tiselius' Strik til dig selv, which is knit for yourself. And there is some, because I've finished the sweater, and I was like, yes, I can do this. I can knit. Let's get knit books. And this one I thought was incredibly gorgeous projects in. I'm just going to show you, this is sort of the overview of some of the projects that are in there. So there's sweaters, and there is you know, some hats and some cows and scarves and ponchos and everything in it. And she has in here, I'm not going to actually show you the patterns, because the written patterns, because obviously they're bought. But she has in here, she has how hard it is to make. Of course, you know, the yarn width and length and everything, but at least she tells me, you know, should I be able to make this or not? And there is, I fall in love in one of the sweaters. I'm just going to show you. Found it just before. This sweater with a hood. Doesn't that just look? It looks so comfy and warm. And there's also, then there's the whole pattern, and then look at the actual detailing of that. It looks just brilliant. And this is apparently an advanced pattern, not an easy one, but well, I don't know. I made a sweater. Maybe, you know, might be able to make another one. And the one after is also, you actually saw that a little bit. I'm just gonna see if I have a picture of it. There is not without these. I'm going to do that. Isn't that beautiful? I really want to make myself a sweater, and this might be one of these might be the ones to go for. Look, there's even cables all along one arm. Yeah, I'm very happy with these two books, and they were both on offer for what, 70 krona each, and I saved like 300 krona on them. Not going to complain about that. And there's also a knitting school in here, with a knitting school. And when you are as new as I am to knitting, we like knitting schools. That was the two books I bought. The last thing I'm going to talk about today is that I went to a yarn festival along with my friend Anna. We went to Knitwork Festival, and it's a little festival. I haven't been there before. I think is it the 5th year they're doing it? I don't know. I could have just pulled that out from nowhere. I don't know. I've heard about it last year as well, and I didn't go. But this year I decided to go, and it's in this in a culture house in the middle of Copenhagen, and there was 17 booths there, and we talked to someone who said there used to be quite a few more, but they had some cancellations. But there were 17 booths, and I did buy stuff from some of them. I bought stuff from 2 of them, and it was a really nice place, and they had extremely good lunch. I mean, there was this I mean, there was someone there who was making 3 different dishes that you could then, you know, have for lunch, and it was yummy. It was really, really yummy. I had some. It's called lakserillette, so it's some salmon. It's a salmon dish, and it was just so tasteful. And you got a big amount for not that much money. So we were very happy with the value of that. And then we went into we went to some of the stands, thought for a bit, went to have lunch, and then went back and bought stuff. Well, that was the plan anyway, but. I met one of the stands was called Susse's Spinnehjørne, which is Susse's spinning corner, really, and she spins yarn that she sells, and she also sells fiber. So I got some fiber. I didn't buy this; I actually got this from her, and I got that because I bought this. I bought a drop spindle, and can you see all of this? You can see how thin it is. I'm just going to wind it a little bit. See how thin this is. That is sort of the well, not the inner ones, because you can see at the bottom, for example, there's some that is very thick, and at the top you can see some that is very thick, but a lot of it is this thickness. And have I spun all of this? Oh yes, I have spun all of this, as she recommended, and another woman there recommended as well. In the beginning, 15 minutes a day, but every day. Then I will get the tension, and I will, what I'm doing right now with it, I am spinning with a method called the parking method, where you first get it to spin, and then you park it between your legs, and then you actually draft the fiber, and then that creates the yarn. And I'm hoping that this is going to help me with my big spinning wheel, because I do have an Ashford spinning wheel, but I'm not really able to work on it. I don't have the skill, and maybe not even the patience at the moment, because when I started, it just, I don't know what's going wrong. Can't figure out what's going wrong, but it's not the spinning wheel. The spinning wheel is me. So I'm hoping that spinning this is going to help with my tension and my method on the spinning wheel. And I got, I have this, and so this is blue, 75% blue faced Leicester and 25% mohair, and there's about 100 grams in here, and it's called Coffee and Cream. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin all of it on here, on this one. Then I'm going to apply it up on itself, because I've seen that you can do that. And then I'm going to probably knit a scarf or a cowl or something with it. And I'm going to, because I think the knitting might, because there's going to be so much variegation in the thickness of this, because the beginning it was a lot thicker. So I think with the knitting, it's gonna be better with it than if I was doing crochet. We'll see how it goes, but that is my plan, to do like a cowl or a scarf or something with it. And it's obviously not going to be perfect, but then I will be able to say, yeah, I actually did this. I spun it, and then I either knitted or crocheted this project. So I bought this one from Susie. I'm just gonna watch out it doesn't go in the tea. What I also got from her, I just need to, it's a box, so I just need to get stuff out of the box, because when there's boxes I put things in. It's a box. Let's get to close that. I got this. It's a yarn dyeing kit, as you can see, and the what is in here, there is a 100-gram hank of a yarn, and this is Stellina Sparkle, so it's some sparkly yarn, and there is 3 Eurolana dies in there. There's 1 pipette, 1 spatula, 1 thermometer, and 1 pair of latex gloves in here. Just going to show you. See, so this is the yarn, wool yarn, and then there is some gold sparkling thread in there. Then there is some guides and some tips in here. Then we got thermometer. We have, this was the pipette and the spatula in here. And then we got a blue dye and a red dye. And what do you think the last one is? Is it a yellow one? So you can basically make whatever colors you want to make. So that is, and then there's the gloves in here, some latex gloves. And I have been reading through the instructions. I'm not going to actually dye yarn just yet, but I couldn't not do, because I really want to dye some yarn, and I even borrowed some books to read about it. So when I saw a kit, I was like, yes, please, give it to me so I can make some, so I can dye some yarn. But one of the things I have seen in instructions is that you need, very, very small amount of dyes. In here, for example, quantity of dye to use for 100-gram hank. For light shades, up to 0.5% on the weight of wool. So up to half a gram of dye powder for light shades. For medium shades, you need from half a gram to 1.5 grams, and then for darker shades, 1.5 grams and upwards. And as you can see, the scale they have used, it's you need to be able to use scales that has that can weigh very small amounts. So I went online to to get a scale. I haven't bought it yet, but to have a look, and I found this place where they have all sorts of them. They have them so you can have them for like medical use. You have them so you can, I don't know what you use them for, but they had all these sorts of scales. And among all of the serious ones, and they can go down to like 0.01 grams and stuff, you also had a scale that looked like an iPod. When it was turned upside down, then it looked like an iPod. And you had one which I thought was even funnier. You had one that was, I'm just going to put this back in the box. You also had one that can also function as a computer mouse. And in the the little computer mouse, you can actually take out the weighing scale. So there's a little storage space in your mouse for whatever it is you want to use it for. I laughed and thought, yeah, I'm not going to use it for that. I'm going to use it for dyeing yarn. Obviously not that one. I'm going to get another one, but I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, I got a yarn dyeing kit. So at some point you will see some hand dyed yarn from me. Not going to be anytime soon, but at some point you're going to see it. I also need to get a pot. Because when you use the pots, you're not allowed to use them for food anymore. So I need to get a pot just for that. And right now in the flat there's not going to be room for a pot. So it's not going to be right now. But at some point it's going to happen. The last thing I got is not from the same place. It's not from Susie Spinhjørne. It is from Frederiksminde Unica Design on Bornholm, which is an island. And this is a hand-dyed skein of yarn. And I'm telling you, the softness of this, it's absolutely incredible. The amount of times I have already squished this yarn, I'm not sure I can count it. It is incredibly soft. It wasn't cheap. It was like 270 krona. So that's what, like 25 pounds, 30 pounds, something like that. But it's 100-gram skein of yarn, and it is 50% of Tibetan yak. It's 50% yak, and it is 50% silk. And there is 700 meters in this 100-gram skein. Look at it. Look at the color. And even it's shiny because of the light. Look at that. Look at how shiny and pretty it is. And the reason why I bought it, obviously other than it being the most beautiful squishy soft yarn, it was also because the woman who dyed this, Lena, she had made a shawl with the skein of this yarn, a knitted shawl. So another knitted project I need to do. But she had made the honeysuckle shawl. If you can find it on Ravelry, and I'll put it down here. But what she had done was I'm happy that she had the tag on it to see what pattern it was, but then I went on Ravelry and found it and thought, is that the same? What she'd done is that there's two bits to the shawl if you look at the pictures of it. There's like an inner bit that almost looks like little stars, and then there's an outer bit of it which is more of like a lace pattern. And what she'd done in the actual pattern, the lace part is a lot bigger than the star part, but in hers she had done the star part quite big, and then she'd basically done the lace sort of like an edge, and she, as you said, she had just knitted until there was no more yarn in the skein. But it was just, the color variations in this were just so clear in the way she had knitted that up. And as my friend Anna said, when you held the shawl, it was light but heavy at the same time. You could feel sort of the weight of the yarn in there. It was just gorgeous. So of course I had to be able to replicate that, so I bought the yarn for it. And 25-30 pounds for a skein of yarn is a hell of a lot of money, and I'm not even sure I actually honestly had the money for it, but I bought it anyway. But when you then consider, if I'm having a gorgeous silk and yak knitted shawl for 270 krona, that's not expensive. Of course, there's also going to be the time in it, but seeing as I put the time in it myself, it's not going to cost me other than my time, and then what would I paid for this? So, I mean, I think, it's going to be fun. It's not going to be my next project because no. I need to be more experienced before I throw myself into using this. But it's gorgeous, and I'm looking so much forward to do it. And of course, then I just need to knit things. So it's good that I bought a book and I have things that I need to knit. I have goals, knitting goals. But that was the last thing that I had to show you today. It has been good talking to you. I think this has become longer than expected. When I thought, I listed up what I had to show you, and it wasn't that much, and I thought it's going to be a short episode then, but I think it's actually gone quite long. I hope I haven't bored you too much. Well, if I have, then you probably haven't gotten this far. So I hope that you have enjoyed catching up. I've certainly enjoyed catching up, and I am looking forward to see you again in a few weeks. It's probably going to be like 3 weeks, maybe a month, because we are on the 16th of October now, and in a month then we are in the middle of November, and then that is just before Christmas sets in, and then I can do a Christmas episode. So yes, I'll see you again in 3 weeks to a month, and we'll see how much I've done until then. Until then, have an excellent autumn or spring wherever you are, and see you soon. Bye.